Here we are, right on time. 10:25.
Do you know that's what Scott Fransky says after every first pitch, whether they're on time or not? He'll go,
really?
he says, he goes, and first pitch, 7:12, right on time. No matter what time it is.
I love Fransky, man.
Oh, he's the best. We have a Fransky-related voicemail I want to make sure I get to.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Here we are.
Yep. It's not August anymore.
I have
2nd August.
So I'm at the studio. Production starts next week. At a table read, I read the parts of John and Nate. So get excited for that. That's a little bit of a tease. Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting.
Different office than the one that you had, the soundproof booth.
It's the same show, but a different office. Now I'm on this. That was like at a production company. Now we're at on the studio. And so, stage is right downstairs. That's where set is. We had a table read today. I actually didn't. This was from the pilot, and then the next one I played I don't even know if I'm allowed to say. I'm not even. What are we? I don't know. People are secret about shit.
Do you do the table read on set, or is that in a separate room?
No, it's usually in like just some like conference room type
round table
place. Round table. Important to do. In a multicam, they would do a run through as on set, where you're like, where there's like standing sets. That's more of like like a laugh track type of thing, and you like walk through it, and you're like, okay, they have their scripts and they're reading it, and then like this person stands there. Like if it's like Seinfeld, it's like, all right, Jerry's at the kitchen, and Jerry's going to do the thing. He says a line, okay, and then this scene ends, and then we walk to the next one, and then we all do it, and we laugh, that kind of deal. It's like seeing it on its feet is what it's called.
Can I address this chat comment before we start?
Ooh.
So this is making me crazy. So Carlos Esteves does a celebration after the thing, which because he's 31, I assume is Dragon Ball Z. The MLB Twitter account even said it's his Dragon Ball Z thing. And I did a tweet that said, if you're Gen X, you think that was Ryu or Ken from Street Fighter 2. If you're millennial, you think it's Dragon Ball Z. And I got a bunch of, like this guy, well, actually, Dragon Ball Z came out before Street Fighter 2. Dragon Ball Z is far more popular because it didn't get popular until like late 90s, early 2000s in the US. So millennials are far more into Dragon Ball Z than Gen X are. Gen X, Street Fighter 2 was like the biggest fucking video game there was. Mortal Kombat was big, same time. So I'm aware Dragon Ball Z came out early, but the only people that were into Dragon Ball Z when I was in high school were fucking, I actually mean this is no offense, it's like fucking dorks or whatever. But then it got cool later on, so young people are. Just relax. I'm not saying Dragon Ball Z didn't come out until whenever.
You got his ass.
Yeah.
Fucking
I needed to get his ass.
Looking forward to Chris's response.
Yeah. And then this guy, yes, that is my point. I know no one is saying Esteves is doing that. It was just a joke about the fucking fireball move. Fucking losers. Get out of the chat. I'm sorry. No one can just say, oh, haha. Fuck, man. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by MortgageCS. Become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe, rightstrickysanchez.com/newsletter. I'm going to open up one of these in a second. I brought one, even though it's a weeknight. It's getting a little crazy. On the show today, the Sixers make a new front office hire, sign some guys to Exhibit 10 deals. The rumors about building an arena in New Jersey continue, maybe even get a little stronger. And finally, do we get to hear the return of Weekly Becky's phone calls? Time will only tell. That story. Please join our team for Bark in the Park, Providence Animal Center. Support the homeless dogs and cats. Don't be a jerk. Get the awesome one-of-a-kind t-shirt that you only get by signing up for our team and help us raise $20,000. Kick everyone's asses in the fundraising, as we always do. The link will be in the description. Thank you to our sponsors, MortgageCS and LL Pavorsky Jewelers, who sponsor the team. 2 new pods this week from the Ricky family of pods, a new episode of the Draft Council, a Philly-centric episode where they talk about prospects in the Big Five and they pick their official Philly team of the year. So that is in the Draft Council. Search wherever you get your podcast. And a new episode of the Carl Landry Record Club, our music podcast hosted by me and Mutlu. The 2 albums we talk about are Oasis's What's the Story Morning Glory and Hootie and the Blowfish's Cracked Rear View. And we talk about the upcoming big Linkin Park announcement, which happens on Thursday, which I believe is a new singer, a new band name, all that stuff. Here we go. Surfside iced tea and vodka. Hear that? Hear that, Mike? Drinking. Does that sound good? So this actually isn't, this is Surfside, but there's no iced tea in this one. It's just the lemonade and vodka. It's my favorite one. And it's only got 100 calories, and I love it. And everybody loves Surfside. Man, can you wait till Phillies playoffs? You look in the crowd, even when it's cool out, everybody's going to be drinking Surfside. I like to say it's the official drink of the summer, but it's also the official drink of the fall. Only 100 calories, lightly sweet, no carbonation because iced tea or lemonade does not have bubbles. You could get one of those sampler packs, one of all their flavors at statesidevodka.com or wherever you would buy such an alcoholic beverage, which I believe in PA is now going to be gas stations because I think you can buy these in gas stations now, or that's going to happen. I heard the governor say that the other day. So maybe you'll be able to get these in gas stations. But as of now, wherever you get them. All right. And you got to be 21 and statesidevodka.com. I said all that. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Askin, along with a guy who's at work and he's looking a little sad. That is one Mike Levin.
Oh, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Tired.
Not
Not sad.
how the tables have turned.
Oh, my God.
I've got so much energy.
Carry us. Carry me. Put me on your shoulders.
Well, the Sixers made a front office hire. I don't know if you heard this because you were working, but the Sixers have hired Memphis Grizzlies executive Ariana Andonian as VP of Player Personnel.
Cool.
Woj reports. Now, the person who had that job, oh man, I wrote it down. Forget his name, but
Prosper.
Right, and he's also the GM of the Blue Coats, but he's not going to be that anymore.
He's still with the team, though, right?
Yeah. I just assume he doesn't have this job anymore. He had that job. Maybe he's got a different job. You know. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't say anything about him leaving, so. I don't know. Being GM of the Blue Coats seems like enough of a job to me. Who needs 2 jobs? I had 3 jobs before. It was terrible.
Isn't Jameer in there? Jameer's got one of the jobs?
He has a job as well. Yeah, he has a job. They just hand out jobs. So this job, VP of Player Personnel, at this point is basically a scouting job. And Ariana has a good record of success.
Hell yeah, my Grizzlies.
Scouting. Right.
I mean, the Grizzlies have had a ton of success. I mean, like,
now, I don't know what kind of scouting it is. I don't know if it's scouting college players. Maybe it's scouting other NBA players. Could be that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. You could just be like Doc Rivers and just get the players who were good against you one time.
Either way, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I dig it. I love what the Grizzlies. Obviously, last year was a shit show for the Grizzlies, but they've been building out their personnel in different ways over the last 5 years or so. They've been tops of that. So not knowing what she's specifically scouting, I'm in.
Yeah, she could be scouting candy for all I know. I don't know. I would just scouting is what I was told. Scouting. I wanted to, before we get to the other stuff, good luck, Ariana. We look forward to you being on the pod.
It's sort of a custom to allow this podcast to make 1 to 2 picks per draft.
Per draft, correct.
So let's just sort of establish that. And, there's a lot you're going to figure out when you get to Philadelphia. You got to figure out where to live and what your situation is and who your people are and all that stuff. But when you get down to it, which is probably like 8th or 9th on the list, one of them is we get to make one of the picks.
Yeah. Now, we would love to invite you on the pod so we can discuss it.
You can pitch us on who you think we should pick with one of the Sixers picks.
Absolutely. We would listen to that. Ariana, wait till you hear how I scout these fucking teams.
We have been with the organization longer than almost anybody. There's a couple people that have been there longer than us.
Really, almost
not that many.
Nobody. Almost. Laura Price. I'm trying to think of the number of people with the Sixers who, Christian Crosby, as long as us, Laura Price. I'm trying to think who else.
I mean, Josh Harrison, David Blitzer.
Derek. That's
Derek
about
who?
it. Derek, I don't know Derek's last name. Derek with Game Ops. You would recognize him. He was there. He was there that day.
What about the guy who rolls the bell out?
What is? When did he start? Yeah, when did he start?
I guess they haven't been doing the bell ringing. We predate the bell ringing.
Correct. Yeah.
So it'd have to be us. But I guess he could have been doing a different job.
Well, he's reasonably young, so I don't.
He's the VP of scouting the bells.
The bell.
Everybody gets to be one.
What is this segment of the podcast? All right. I wanted to just get a quick sense from you on this because we have a lot of very important things to get to, like who Judah Mintz is, even though he's on Summer League. Yeah,
I was very excited about Judah Mintz.
Yes, but we'll get to it in a second. We'll get to it in a minute. We'll get to it.
You can't say Judah Mintz and not expect me to be excited about.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it right after we name all the other people that work for the Sixers that may have been there, as long as we were.
Fun list.
Okay. AU, I thought, wrote a good article this week at RightsToRickySanchez.com. You could subscribe to his writing and anybody's writing for free. That way you don't have to wait around on the internet, on Twitter or something for it. Just go to RightsToRickySanchez.com/subscribe and you can get it emailed directly to you. You don't even need to go to the website afterwards. It's all in your email. The title of the article, Will We Still Love Kelly Oubre Now That We Actually Expect Him to Be Good? Here is the lead. I'll admit it. A not small part of me was hoping that we didn't re-sign Kelly Oubre this offseason. Not because I didn't love him or because I didn't think he was that good for us last year, or even that I didn't think he'd be the right fit for the team moving forward. Oubre was great for last year's team, essential really, and by the end of the season, I adored him as much as any Sixer not named Joel or Tyrese or B-Ball. It was strictly a quit while you're ahead, emotional hedging against what seemed like, on some level, an inevitable reversion for Kelly from the player he turned out to be to the player we always expected him to be. It was wanting to be able to look back on the experience with that hazy, those summer nights sheen of a short but sweet relationship defined primarily by its peaks without risking running into him at school the next year and finding out is actually kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I really like the Grease theme.
Yes.
That runs through the entirety of this article.
Yes.
It's a really beautiful end of summer send-off from our friend AU.
So I guess the question is, forgetting about what we think of him, because he will obviously the expectations are higher, and I do think there will be at no point last year do I ever remember fans being mad at Kelly Oubre, even when he was playing bad. But this year, there are expectations, and I think people probably remember him as slightly better than he actually was, especially given what the team was last year. So I think there will be moments where people get frustrated, but less so about our attitude toward him and more so questioning you on what you think the possibility is of him just like being as good as they need him to be.
So last year we had a conversation right when the Sixers signed him about a year ago, for the veterans minimum for 1 year when his market dried up and he like fired his agent, and it just like the last offseason just didn't work out for Kelly. Sixers sign him. You're worried that, and you hear from people that he's just like not a winning player.
Yep.
Not a guy you can trust in big moments.
Insanely selfish as a player.
Plays, ball hog, plays one-dimensional, not a serious player. But the contract and how limited they were at the kind of thing that Kelly does, which is just like be athletic and dunk, was for me, it was just an excellent signing, even before it worked out as well as it did. So it does work out. The expectations are low. They have him on an incredibly small contract, and he kind of is just the most athletic player on a team. Turns out he defends a lot better than, at least for the season, turns out he defended a lot better than the book on him said he did, especially on ball. Gave Jalen Brunson the hardest time, or one of the hardest times out of anybody. Nick Batum was also pretty good on Brunson. Hustles, put-back dunks, couple, early season obviously didn't get to continue because of Kelly getting hit by a car and then Joel being out for the rest of the season. But Kelly and Joel had a little bit of a good chemistry on like passing and cutting and moving and stuff. And for this season, while I hear the concern about, okay, now that he got paid, still getting paid great money for what he's capable of. I do think he probably took a little bit of a discount, and odds are, because it's a player option, that he will, unless he gets hurt or things go really badly, when more free agent money is available this offseason for everybody, I do think Kelly will get, this is probably a 1-year deal, essentially.
Yeah, and by the way, I think the player option plays in the Sixers' favor here because essentially he's playing for another contract, which is what he was doing last year, on some level. Yeah.
And the backup of, if he gets hurt or things go badly or he shoots really poorly or whatever it is, then he can, walk back into a decent non-veteran minimum contract. So here's why I think it could be better. I think the point about him playing on an expiring contract is a good one. Kelly is a guy who uses athleticism to exploit the little seams in the defense when they're focused on other people. And him being able to do that more this coming season when Tobias Harris isn't there and Maxey has gotten another year better, Joel being, still Joel and hopefully healthy for a larger majority of the season, and obviously Paul George being another person that the defense has to account for. And they're not being at Tobias. And Caleb Martin is a kind of similar player, but he's probably a more consistent three-point shooter than Oubre is. Kelly being either wide open from three or not paid attention to on the offensive end and able to cut through and be available, and while people are so focused on other people's shots, I just think the system in place, Tobias out, Paul George in, will make Kelly pretty much at all times until he's playing with Drummond, like kind of the worst shooter on the court when it matters. And that is a great position for him to be in. While he's not an excellent shooter, he is certainly a capable one at times. He's streaky, he's fine. I think more open shots from him. He's not Matisse, he's not Ben, he's not Josh Giddey. More open shots from him will result in, I believe, on a better team, a better percentage of makes from Kelly. And so while I hear the idea of, okay, Greece situation. We're going to find out he was actually kind of a dick. I hear that. My hope is that the 1-year deal plus just more open space and no Tobias will allow the rest of his game to continue to sing in this environment.
I will give my opinion right after we talk about DraftKings. Mike, this is DraftKings Sportsbook, presenting sponsor of the Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Football here, NFL, week
Let's
1.
go.
This is our last pod before the Eagles game because we're not podding till this weekend. Eagles play on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eagles opened up as 3-point favorites in Brazil. They're now 2-point favorites over the Packers Friday night at DraftKings Sportsbook. Mike, who do you like in the Eagles-Packers game? Eagles -2.
I kind of like the Packers here.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Vibes don't seem too great with the Eagles.
Well, vibes seem fine.
They seem like weirdly annoyed to be in Brazil.
Oh,
wait.
Yeah, I wouldn't
seem-
feel like going to Brazil either. But I don't think the other team wants to be in Brazil either.
Sure. The Jalen Nick questions are there.
Mm-hmm.
First game without Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker issues still present.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cornerback depth, but still counting on a lot of young players to be very good right away.
When Isaiah Rodgers is hurt, has a hand injury or something, so
Packers have one of the deepest receiving cores in the league, and
do.
a really good running back, and playable tight ends, and a quarterback that really came alive.
And returning almost everyone, a new
Right.
defensive coordinator, but returning much of their team from
and still young. So I feel pretty good about the Eagles right now, but I do think I'm not going to be surprised if they lose this game. Can I tell you my other bet?
Yeah, can I ask you one more Eagles one?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts this season, regular season passing touchdowns at DraftKings Sportsbook, over under 22.5.
That seems low, but I tend to prefer going under on total season bets because so many things have to go right for the over to hit, like mainly health.
Health, yeah.
And all you have to do is like, it's just scary to depend on that level of health in order for the bet to hit. Because I feel like almost all the bets, there's some guys that this is sort of baked into the price, but I feel like almost all the bets are assuming they're playing 17 games.
Yes, on some level, health bets.
Yeah.
Also, Eagles over under on wins at DraftKings Sportsbook is 10.5, but the over is now -130. So,
Yeah.
So what do you like on wins?
I feel like that's a wonderful
Stay away
line
from.
to set and to stay away from.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet it either. But I would bet everything else at DraftKings Sportsbook, just not
Can I
that
tell you
one.
mine?
Yeah, what's your other bet?
Well, so I already my division bet this year
Yes.
is the Arizona Cardinals to win
Yep.
the
The
NFC West, which I got at I don't remember, but I don't know. You're not supposed to tell people how much you put on it, or do you do it?
I don't care.
I wanted it to be a lot, so I put $80 on it.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
put $80 on it.
That's fine.
$80 to win
High roller.
$1,040.
That's great. I
which
love
would be
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
And so
it'd be
I like,
awesome.
I like the Cardinals. I like what they got going this year. Obviously, vibes in San Francisco improving, but still weird. Still off the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Seattle, new coach, new system. Not a ton of like elite talent. And the Rams, if Stafford gets hurt, he's obviously very old, and Cup is old, and Puka's.
He's 35, by the way.
That seems ancient to me. It's an ancient. At me as a 34-year-old, I couldn't even imagine being that old. So I think the Cardinals have a decent shot. Obviously, the defense is going to be bad, but I won some money with our Bucks, our Tampa Bay Bucks last year.
Yep.
In a bad division, and I feel like if the West falls a little bit, then they could 9-8. Division tiebreaker wins the division. That'd be nice.
There you go.
And then I have the other one, the new one. I got Titans 5.5 wins, and I went over.
I hate the easy overs. What are you feeling on the Titans?
I just think it's a decent system for Will Levis to play solid ball. I think they've been bad for a little bit. They want to be good. They feel like they have a quarterback that they believe in. Hopkins and Ridley, Pollard and Spears. I think this is a really solid offense that they could play decent ball, and I think their schedule is not so difficult. And so I 5.5 felt very low for me to get it at, and so I felt good about that.
I would just like to say that I wasn't laughing at your bet as low as I don't think I've ever bet $80 on a sporting thing. I think the most I've ever bet is 50.
Really?
It's just that, I'm not a big, I don't bet big numbers. I don't get a lot of juice out of betting big on a sports thing. I kind of like the slow drip of $10 here, $15 there, or whatever. Like
I like to feel really smart.
Yeah. Yes. Well, there you
and
go.
get to go like watch it roll in.
Well, the laughing was, you're like, should I tell? And
You expected a bigger number.
500 or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
I would
didn't
never do
expect
that. That's
$80. Yeah.
I mostly just wanted to see the number go over 1,000 when I bet it.
Yes, when you win.
I was like, how do I get up that? Okay, 1,000. I get to do $1,000 on the Arizona Cardinals.
Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. That is code RTRS for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on them. Only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. I largely agree with you on Oubre. I think the odds of us drifting into old Oubre I don't think he will. However, I do think he is better suited as first guy off the bench. And so I think eventually he will move to that. But all that said, I'm largely pretty optimistic about Oubre this year. I think part of, and this is what AU was saying, not a good part of our love affair with him last year was the sort of strange nature of the team in that it was just a bunch of guys with Maxey and Embiid, and they needed him to do all those things, and that it was sort of unexpected. But I'm reasonably, I think they need a better shooter in that spot in the starting lineup than he is.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the similarities in the games of Caleb Martin and Kelly Oubre are such that I would want to make 100% sure that one of them is on the court at all times.
Sure.
And so even if Oubre, I think that the second guard spot going to a guy like Eric Gordon, if he still has feeling in his limbs, and Kyle Lowry, if his ass still works, being just like a 18 to 22 minute a game guy, and then Oubre plays like 28 off the bench and being like a different kind of pitcher to come in and someone you have to account for is like, oh, this guy now like attacks the offensive glass and drives to the basket recklessly, because like he does that a lot more than Caleb Martin does. Martin goes in and he'll hit a hole and try to dunk hard, but I think he's more like quick decisions than Oubre is, and Oubre is more just like, I am head down, getting to the fucking rim. And I think that's nice with Maxey, Paul, and Embiid, but I also wouldn't mind that energy off the bench. I think he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to be important to the team. He likes playing under Nick Nurse. He likes playing with Joel. I think it's all a really, really good situation.
We got this voicemail to 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ. My name is Patrick. I'm calling after we got news that the Sixers arena might be in New Jersey. You know, there's too many things to be negative about these days. But, you know, I just have to express my feelings that if the Sixers move to New Jersey, I think it'd be a really lame move. You know, we already have Sixers ownership owning the Devils practice facilities in New Jersey. Players already live in New Jersey. You know, let's have some pride for the city. You know, the branding of the team is all about Independence Hall, all about the Constitution. When I think of the American Revolution, I don't think of New Jersey at all. Maybe Boston, but, you know, fuck Boston. I just wanted to say I don't support this move.
All right. So the update on the story is this: the economic impact study came out. You know, basically didn't say anything. It was basically like, well, I don't know. There was an interesting, I actually read it. There was an interesting thing in there. It does seem that they do seem to think there is a very specific window of number of people who can drive to the arena without it being a disaster. It's right around 40%. And it basically says in there, if it's 41, this is going to be a really huge fucking problem or something. I forget what that was. You're totally can't hear you at all.
That's Center City, sorry.
Center City. Yes.
Yeah.
That's for the Center City one. Yes, absolutely. So then it popped up again that New Jersey wanted them, and New Jersey basically offered them $500 million in tax breaks. And
Which
this
so embarrassing for New Jersey.
Well, why?
Don't give if I live in Jersey, don't give the fucking Sixers
but
hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks for that. That's fucking ridiculous.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. I don't really fucking care, honestly. I'm glad that Pennsylvania's not doing it, but they'll get it one way or another, wherever they land.
It's an embarrassing system.
Well,
that
wherever
these guys,
they land,
the richest guys in the fucking world, are like, we need taxpayer money to build this thing. It's just like it's so gross.
So
it fucking sucks.
Here is the finally somebody found it. I had mentioned that like years and years ago on the pod that I think it would happen, and thanks to a gentleman on Twitter who found an AMA from 7 years ago, who asked me what the ultimate end game would be for the Sixers and the Wells Fargo Center. And I said, I've been saying for an awfully long time, both on the pod and on air, that I believe the end game for the Sixers ownership group is an arena. These values of teams are mostly based on having an arena. I think there will be a point where ownership asks Philadelphia for a new arena, and when they don't say yes, they will use Camden as a threat because New Jersey will basically make it for free.
Yeah,
I don't know how it ends.
We've been talking about that forever.
Yeah. So, again, I wish I cared more about it specifically being in Philadelphia. I don't. Maybe it's because I worked in New York for a few years and the football stadiums are in New Jersey, and New Jersey for Philly Camden is even closer than fucking, Newark is for the,
sure.
Or East Rutherford for the football stadiums. And the money part of it, I just don't want to talk about it. I just don't care. I care about if you are a home or a business that feels like your life is directly impacted by this.
Yeah,
I feel like you should care.
Yeah,
me as a consumer, and honestly, if my taxpayer dollars are going toward it or whatever,
right.
I feel like you should care.
Right.
But like, I'm not gonna sit and spend like hours like talking about it. I guess that part of it, I just don't care. I do think we said last time we talked about this, I think they would rather have it in Philadelphia.
Sure.
Oh, and then the other thing that happened is Comcast Spectacor, who owns the Wells Fargo Center and wants the Sixers to go in 50-50 on a new arena or whatever, they proposed some like medical research building where Market East is. If you're Philly and you really just can't have that whole building be a complete waste, as there's no revenue being generated at all, tax revenue, the Market East building. So I get them wanting something there rather than, even if it's not going to be the Sixers arena. I just I don't know.
Look, I leave it to, I don't live in Philadelphia. I haven't lived in Philadelphia as an adult. So it is hard for me to comment on like the specificity of that kind of thing. I leave it to people that know better. To me, the embarrassment that the Sixers ownership should feel if they go, we're taking a storied Philadelphia franchise and we're moving it to New Jersey because it saves us a little bit of money.
Well, but think of this.
We get to make money out of it. The reason I buy the team, I buy the classic organization, the Philadelphia 76ers, fucking Dr. J, Wilt, Moses, Iverson. Let's send them to fucking Jersey, because we can make more money that way. You're making plenty of money.
Well, let me ask you this.
And it's just embarrassing to me. They should feel embarrassed if they do this.
Let me ask you this.
Let me just finish the thing.
Okay.
They should feel shamed for doing that, for going like, this is the thing. Hey, we're in sports. We get to own a sports team. We have so much money in the world. We get to be owners of a fucking sports team. That rules. I'm like an 8-year-old boy getting to be an owner of a sports team. What a treat. And then what I'm going to do is make all my fans fucking resent the shit out of me, which obviously owners do for many, many reasons, more than just moving your team to across the river. But like, you should ultimately decide, like what John Middleton is doing with the Phillies, like, I'm going to do the thing that is the least embarrassing. And to me, the least embarrassing thing is not moving the Philadelphia 76ers to Camden. Philadelphia 76ers, a team named after 1776 for Philadelphia, not Camden. I got nothing against South Jersey. I don't really give a shit. But just like they should feel, one of my longest running opinions on this podcast is that people should feel more shame. These people should feel more shamed. I was interviewed. I gave a version of this answer, long, drawn out, with many resentments. Burnergate was mentioned in an interview this morning that I did with a reputable news organization talking about this potential move. And I didn't realize how fired up I was until the guy started asking questions. And I was
you did an interview about the Sixers arena thing that
Yeah,
you said
somebody
you
reached
don't
out.
know anything about?
Well, no, I said he asked me to do it, and I was like, hey, just so you know, I don't live there, so I can only provide like this kind of thing. And he was like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm like, okay. Sure, if you want to do it.
Was it a New York Times guy?
Yeah,
Was it Sopan Deb?
no,
Oh, okay. All right.
and it was just like, so many embarrassing things have happened to this organization. So many. We can name them. I named him for the guy on the phone. I named a couple ones that he hasn't heard of. And yet here we are, where the Sixers are threatening to go to New Jersey where there's more money for them. It's like you got all the money. What you don't have is an advancing past the second round. And when you get it's the first time, congratulations, you got Paul George, the first legitimately great free agent to come play for the Sixers ever, deciding to come play for the Sixers. So apologies to Elton Brand. If he had come before he tore his Achilles, then he would have been great as well. But Paul George, still healthy, at his relative peak, coming here. Finally, they're going to break through. Embiid won a gold medal. Tyrese is growing. And we are going to muddy that goodwill. Everything is going well with the idea that we're going to move the fucking franchise to Jersey because we can make more money that way. That is embarrassing. These people should feel embarrassed. What the fuck do you own an NBA team for? Just go continue. Just own a bank. Just go do bank. Go do bank. Go do finance. Don't own a fucking NBA team if you're going to embarrass your fucking city like that. Philadelphia, for as long as I've been alive, or I guess I don't remember exactly when the Meadowlands started, has been making fun of the Giants for the Meadowlands being in Jersey. Forever. It's one of the first things people say about the Giants is that the stadium is not even in fucking New York. And Sixers owners are going to go do that. They've already owned the fucking Devils. They already own the fucking Commanders. And they're going to move the Sixers to fucking Jersey. They should be embarrassed. They should be shamed out of doing this.
Okay, fan guy. What if Philadelphia won't let them build at where Market East is?
Why don't, this is the part I don't know, so I'm not going to weigh in, but why could there be a negotiation between like Comcast and this ownership group where they just agree to like, we'll just take the building from you, we'll pay an exorbitant amount, and then it becomes our building?
No. So, they don't want this building. They want a new building.
Yeah.
So what Comcast is offering, and I would have to, like, I obviously don't understand all of this, but because I'm not in the conversations, but what Comcast has said is we will go 50-50 with you on a building, including plans for a new building. But they don't want to go 50-50 with fucking Comcast. They want to own their own building and have their own building. So from a franchise valuation standpoint, owning your own building and not paying rent to somebody else is a massive difference.
Yeah. And look, they can threaten it.
Yes.
They can threaten all they want. I understand using it as a leverage point, but if they do it, anything that involves them actually doing it is they should be shamed out of public life.
I think it would be to your point, from a goodwill perspective. There's two things. There's the reality of it being there and the optics of it being there. I don't think the reality of it being there it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't care. But the optics of them moving it to New Jersey would be bad. And I don't think they want those optics, and I think they're right now trying to pressure Philadelphia and PA. And I actually think the odds of them actually putting it in New Jersey are actually pretty small. That would be my gut.
I think they're going to do it. I think they're moving to New Jersey.
Oh, I think realistically Philly and PA will not let them leave.
Yeah, maybe. And that would be
yeah.
a bummer in a sense, because it's like, okay, how much taxpayer money in Pennsylvania are they then giving to some of the richest people in America?
So what they've said is that they're not taking any public funding, which is true, sort of. But what they did ask to do, and I think the Eagles did this, and maybe even the Phillies did this. It happens a lot. Is they want to do a thing where they buy the land, they give it to the city or state, then they rent the land from the city or state, so they don't have to pay property tax on it, which saves them a lot of money every year. So they're not getting money, but they are getting money by making that little deal. So I talked about this in the interview, so I feel like I feel bad that I'm now spoiling all the quotes. Oh,
he's probably
it's paywall
he's probably not going to use them for.
Yeah, he'll use one sentence. That's what the New York
sentence.
Times guys do. Yeah.
During the pandemic, they threatened to furlough. They're saying basically we're going to furlough our workers. We're not going to pay them anymore.
Yeah.
Joel comes on. This is like what, May, June, something like that?
Yeah, it was
2020.
Yeah.
And Joel says, "I'm going to pay them then."
Or was it Ruben that said it or Joel that said it? It was. I know Joel said. Yeah, it was whatever it was. Yes.
Joel came out and basically forced their hand to walk it back, which obviously we don't talk about as a good enough move for Joel. That fucking kicks ass, and I love exerting star player power to shame your cheap ass owners.
Well, by the way,
paying the people during like a once in a lifetime catastrophe.
I think Ruben was behind that, by the way, for what it's worth.
Which direction?
That making Joel do it, because I think Ruben was a pain in the ass to the owners when he was an owner, because he was the most famous of the owners and he owned a very small piece of the team. Sure. And I think they were fucking annoyed by it. But that, again, I don't have info on that. That's just my gut.
Let me tell the other owners, I get it.
Yeah.
We have common ground. I get it, buddies. But Joe, I wonder if this goes far enough, and who knows, there should be at some point over the next couple of years, Joel extension talks.
He ain't going to say a fucking word.
I wonder if he does.
He would not.
I wonder if he does. I don't know anything. I'm just saying, like, he did it before with the pandemic. Obviously, that's a particular kind of thing.
Yeah. This touches his money too, though. Like they're going to pay him $65 million a year.
Sure, he could say in an interview, whether it's forcing their hand or not, but just like, well, I think the Sixers should stay in Philadelphia. That's where I like to be. That's where they are. I think it would be sad if we moved. Like, you could say it. You don't have to say like he's not leading a horde of people into Josh Harris's house. As fun as that would be. I think
nobody should do that. Nobody should lead a horde of people. I'd have to get that.
It's a funny image. Of Joel leading a horde of people into Josh Harris's house. Not encouraging anybody. I don't know where Josh Harris lives.
And by the way, Habib said this in the chat. Like, Joel Embiid will probably be retired by the time this.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're talking about 31, 32.
Yeah,
that's forever.
Yeah.
I think
it'd be dead by then.
I wonder. I think it'd be cool. I wonder if there's a lot of factors into play, and I understand the idea of threats. I understand the idea of leverage, but if they do it, and I kind of think that they will, because I just don't trust them to not do the thing that makes the most money sense and really not care about anything on a fair and level. I think they want to win they would love to win a championship. They would love to advance to the conference finals. They would love to get to compete for a championship and get more money from it, and also get the fame and glory that comes with like being an actually good team finally after all these years. But I think that they want every ounce of money more than they want that.
Philly will crack. I think Philly will crack. But that's just my prediction. We'll see. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by MortgageCS. MortgageCS is going to help you get a mortgage. They're not going to dick around and have some sort of shady deal with a bank and push you to one of the lenders that they want. No. They're going to find you the best place to get a mortgage, because that's what they do. You want to be a MortgageCS Ricky VIP? Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Or call or text their CEO, Ben, at any time. And by the way, that's sort of how they are. Whenever you need them, they're going to be there for you. You're going to get the CEO's phone number, 267-391-7425. 267-391-7425. MortgageCS, independent mortgage broker, going to help you get a loan. Now, interesting times coming up in terms of buying a home. You look in fall and winter, and that's usually buyer time, because people don't really want to buy a house and move in the fall or the winter. So there's fewer buyers out there. But rates could come down, which is good for you, but it means more people will want to buy houses. So while you're trying to navigate this whole thing, do you need the best mortgage broker in the history of the world? You do. MortgageCS is that. It's funny, I got a note from Ben from MortgageCS today that said something like, we've had a few Ricky listeners use us for a second home. It's like, second home? Who the fuck is listening to our fucking podcast? Kasabi with the fucking the shore homes and MortgageCS with the second homes. Who are these people?
If you're listening to this podcast and you have 2 homes, you got to give one to another listener that doesn't have one.
Yes.
You got it. It's a rule. You got to give one to them.
You
can pick who it
Sixers
is.
Play there. You let the Sixers play.
You can pick which listener it is. You can have a contest, whatever it is, but you can't have 2 homes if you listen to this podcast. You got to give one to one of the other listeners who doesn't have any.
Look, if you're a first-time home buyer, this can be pretty scary. MortgageCS, great. If you're not buying a home, if you have a friend, if you have a family member buying a home, MortgageCS, great. Super honest, going to be patient with you, and there whenever you need them. Now, I think over 400 5-star reviews at Google. You can read them if you don't trust me. I'm telling you that if you need a mortgage, MortgageCS is where you go. As I said, go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky to schedule a consultation, or call or text Ben anytime. Text him, ask him where he thinks the Sixers arena should go. 267-391-7425, anytime, day or night. This advertisement, not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. Had a voicemail about the Ricky Lore episode to 833 Lickface.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say I absolutely despise that you did a lore podcast. As somebody who has listened since day one, and I'm not a hipster, I'm so much not a hipster that I hate every type of hipster. But when it comes to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, I like to gatekeep and say I was there first. Now, what angered me so is just these people are undeserving of understanding these jokes. But since we are past the lore podcast, you guys are not able to explain 2 of my most favorite inside jokes that were not asked about. One is that Spike had a public outcry against him for his comments about Kevin Garnett way in the past, and that was one of my funniest moments ever. I really enjoyed that over the dumbest thing ever. And then 2, and this is going way back, is the Mike's Liberal Agenda review on Apple Podcasts. Both of those are near and dear to my heart. I find them very funny, and I think about them way too often. I just wanted to throw those out there to actually disturb those listeners, because now they can't understand those and they know that they exist. And then finally, I just wanted to say, fuck Taiwan Walker, fucking bum.
So we can't explain those 2 things. I mean, well, I don't even want to touch on it. I give him credit for putting new lore out into the world that we cannot explain because the podcast is over. That
once
podcast is over. Yep.
I guess once a year. I don't remember the Garnett thing. I do remember having I feel like a pretty vitriolic review of me. But I don't remember any specifics aside from the headline.
Yeah. Mentioned Exhibit 10 deals. So
yes.
So there's one, the guys just go into the G League. What's his name?
Max Fiedler.
No, there's the other guy that that's been on the Blue Coats for like 7 years now. One of the all-time 3-point leaders. Browning, is that his name? Hold on.
Oh, Jared Brownridge.
Yeah, Brownridge.
Yeah, he's been there forever.
Was signed and then waived, and then is going to sign with the Blue Coats. So
I love it.
It's Fiedler and
Need like a Bull Durham style movie for Jared Brownridge on the Blue Coats.
Judah Mintz and Max Fiedler. I barely remember Judah Mintz from Summer League. He was good, right? I know.
Grow up. Grow up and watch Summer League with a discerning eye. Judah Mintz Dawson. He's fucking Syracuse, man. Come on. He's a Syracuse player.
I was there in the late 90s. What do you want?
You should have some allegiance. You should have some allegiance, and you should have some allegiance to the Philadelphia 76ers staying in Philadelphia. How about that?
I would like for them to stay in Philadelphia.
It all piles together. Judah Mintz is cool, man. I mean, he was a really interesting player at Syracuse. Has a knack for getting into the lane. The has a shifty handle, can get to the rim, got fouled a ton. Not a pretty big, not huge, but like 6'3", like initiator as a guard. Really interesting player. I thought that he was too good in summer league to not get signed to some two-way deal. That didn't happen. Sixers get to hold on to him. If he has a good year, I would love for, if somebody gets bumped up, if they make a trade and then one of the two ways gets bumped up to the regular roster and they need another roster, I would love for Judah Mintz to take that. Like, I think he's good. I think he's a really interesting player. I see some Shake Milton-y stuff to him. Shake was a way better shooter at SMU than Judah was at Syracuse, but Judah also did a lot more like solo stuff as an individual scorer. A lot of those guys, it's just, I say this all the time, but it's like, if you're going to be a solo initiator scorer at the one, you really, really got to be so good at everything. And the days of taking MCW, like, can't shoot type players, I think, are long gone. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, Judah Mintz gets drafted, but I think people are just like not believing in the jumper. So the rest of the game is there for a guard. He's not a bad defender. He's not going to that's not going to be why he gets in the league. His offense is going to get you in the league, and his shot just needs to come along. So I'm excited to see what he can do in Delaware. I'm excited for him to have an E10 deal, and I would love for that to become a two-way over the course of time. Max Fiedler, look, his last tweet is retweeting Nikola Jokic. I think that's who he wants to be. I think that's who he thinks he is. A lot of points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Kind of does everything. But when I watched him at Summer League, played at Rice. When I watched him in Summer League, I was just like, this guy's not popping. Not popping physically, athletically. Seems to just be hanging out. Maybe there's some, Philip Petrushev to him. A guy I don't like either, although who was pretty good on that Serbian team. I don't think Max Fiedler's an NBA player, but he seems like a guy that they want to have around. Organizational filler type. That's fine. Have fun in Delaware. But Judah Mintz, I'm intrigued. Very intrigued.
So this isn't an official relationship advice segment. It is a relationship advice update. In that I like hearing these. We've had several relationship advice. Oh, this is how it's going. So I will give you the email from 2017 and then the update. The email from 2017 comes from David. Dear Spike and Mike, I'm a longtime listener from Adelaide, Australia, and I want to thank you both for everything you do. It's amazing to feel part of something like the process from so far away and have people to share the highs and lows with. I want to ask you a relationship advice question. I've been in a relationship for 8 years. I am only 24, so that's a third of my life. Earlier this week, I broke up with my partner because she'd been flirting with a guy for a couple of weeks via message, and she had cheated on me once in the past, and I just felt like I couldn't spend my whole life looking over my shoulder. My questions are, having never been single as an adult, what do I do? Did I make the right choice? And how long will it suck for? And how do I find someone new? Also, is it bad that the day after we broke up, I booked flights to LA to go see the Sixers play the Clippers and the Lakers simply because it felt like the right move? Thank you again for all the work you put in.
Oh, so that was 2017.
That was 2017.
Wow.
Here is 2024.
Oh, my God.
Spike, Mike, CJ Norman, and Harold. All the relationship advice throwbacks and Mike asking on a recent pod if any of the advice was useful had me thinking. In 2017, I went through a really gross breakup and wrote in asking what I should do and if I should fly to LA to watch the Sixers. Well, I took your advice at the time, moved on, flew from Australia to LA, watched back-to-back wins against the Clippers and the Lakers. Joel got a career high of 46 against the Lakers. Then I went on a road trip from California to Utah, Arches, Bryce Canyon, and Zion. Got home to Adelaide, met a girl, got a dog, called him JoJo. This year in March, we got married, the dog. Just kidding. The lady. This year in March, we got married. The final song for the night was Here Come the Sixers as we left.
Wow.
Just got to keep on trusting the process.
I think that note is written like because he followed whatever advice we said 7 years ago.
Yes.
He met a girl, but
yes,
he didn't meet the girl in LA or in Utah.
But if he hadn't
got home to
taken it,
Adelaide and did
butterfly effect, Mike. Butterfly effect.
Sure.
And we had an effect on his mood and
and butterfly
approach.
effect. We listening to this podcast. Anybody is a butterfly effect we are anything that happens,
The
we
good
take
stuff.
credit. Good
The
stuff,
good
we
stuff.
take credit. Bad stuff, actually, that would have happened anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Congratulations. Here come the Sixers as you walk out. It's pretty fun.
Yes. Psychotic. I would never do such a thing, but congratulations. We're coming up to a very important point where we have to decide whether we're going to play a certain voicemail. But until then, let's do this one. 833.
Is this Becky?
No, this one's not. 833 Lickface.
Spike, Mike, President Harrell, Norman. That Tommy Alter handshake was awful. And it was hilarious that anyone thinks that shirt is okay. That shirt is awful. The shirt is almost as worse as the fumbled handshake. Jesus.
So just comment about the shirt that you and CJ enjoyed.
I didn't mind the shirt. I
Yeah?
didn't mind the shirt. Look, I'm a straight shooter. I'm a man of context. I can say horrible handshake, decent shirt. A little too small, like you pointed out. Too short.
Too short. Yep.
I understand.
Yep.
But you can't. It's not a trash everything. I think the fact that I don't trash everything gives me more credibility.
Okay. Before we get to the weekly Becky call, I'll do this here. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers. For LL, I want to read you this email. We got this email from Stephanie. Hi, guys. And I'll tell you what, Stephanie, toward the end. Hi, guys. Given what I do for a living, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to hear that I've broken up. Well, I'll just tell you at the top then. It's Stephanie, Steve's wife, Briggs Auction. She works over at Briggs Auction with Steve. They run Briggs Auction. So, and she's lovely. Given what I do for a living, I'm just being nice, Steve. I'm not lovely as a person.
Just read the email.
Given what I do for a living, I'm sure it wouldn't surprise you to hear that I've broken my engagement ring and antique wedding band a total of 4 times. After the latest accident, snapped the band right in half, my husband called it was time to see LL.
Snapped it in half.
Lee's,
Jesus Christ.
What's that?
Snapped it in half.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
intense.
Well, I was in the warehouse. It's like all just fucking moving stuff and stuff. It's like a lot of stuff. Having Lee's undivided attention during our appointment made it clear that he really wanted to get it right for me and for me to be happy with the final product. We came up with a plan to reset both rings with upgrades that felt true to the original antique style, but would also be more wearer-friendly for years to come. He even helped me pick out a simple band that I could wear every day while moving furniture and hanging artwork, since he was slightly horrified when I told him that I never took them off. Nearly 10 years to the day that my husband proposed, my new rings were ready, and I truly cannot say enough about how happy I am. Lee nailed it, and I'm so grateful to him for giving my beautiful rings new life. Yes, I cried. He even gave me a number, which we'll discuss in a second, number 406, which makes me feel incredibly cool and is my latest conversation starter whenever I meet Ricky listeners at the auction. Go Sixers. Please, for the love of God, let this be the year. Stephanie from Briggs Auction. My question,
the inter-sponsor dynamics is fun.
Can she be a number?
I think so.
Okay.
I think buying an engagement ring.
But they didn't.
Or buying a wedding ring.
Yeah, but they were fixing the old one.
I think it counts.
Okay, all right. Number 406. We're letting you keep it. LL Pavorsky.
Like if you,
yes,
Spike,
yes,
wanted to get one from LL.
Yes, which I didn't, because I didn't know LL at the time, to be clear.
Which is ridiculous. You could. So that the only thing, and you would count on the list. And so the only thing holding you back from that is your willingness to. Okay. So there you go.
But I'm already married.
Yeah, so are they. So are Briggs.
But her Val's ring is not broken.
Is yours?
No.
Could it be improved?
Yes. I'm not.
I think so. LL?
Fuck you. LL Pavorsky. By the way, me and my wife celebrate 10 years next month.
Wow.
You were invited to the wedding. I just want to throw that out.
Was I?
Well, what I did was, before I sent you the invite, it was very early in our thing. We'd only been doing it for a year, less than a year. I think I looked for the chat once because Gmail saves all the chats. I think it was like, hey, if I invite you, can you come? Mm-hmm. Because it's across the country, and you're like, I can't. I really appreciate it. Blah 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 blah. So, but that counts.
So kind of an invite.
It was an invite.
So kind of an invite.
Okay.
So a little bit.
LL Pavorsky Jewelers. If you need engagement
show
ring,
up if you're in the neighborhood.
Whether it is your first, second, or third engagement ring, you got to go to LL. As Stephanie said, make an appointment so he can give you that personal touch. 215-627-2252. Email Lee at llpavorsky.com. tweeted him at LL Pavorsky, a supporter of our charities, Mama T's Community Fridge and Providence Animal Center. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Break your rings and get them replaced by LL.
We got this to 833 Lickface. I just think you need to know I did edit it down.
This is Becky?
Yeah.
Give me a ballpark of how long this is going to be.
4 minutes.
Okay. Let me just get comfortable.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Take me home, Becky.
Here we go.
Ike Eskin is a liar, and I will never be part of an organization he's a part of. Just kidding. I am never pulling out. I hope people remember these references. But yes, Spike is indeed a liar. I have been calling in. I have been leaving voicemails.
Wow.
Not weekly, but sporadically. So I'm sporadic Becky now, but hoping to do better in the future. I won't summarize all of them, but they were like really smart and really funny. But okay, let's get into it. Am I okay?
Let's get into it.
No, I'm not okay. I have COVID currently, so it will not be hard for me to get out of breath. The Celtics won the championship. I'm not okay. I find it so disgusting and upsetting, and people are just so resilient to like move on, and I haven't moved on, and I'm struggling. I think in general, it's just been a very emotional time in my life, and while in the general pie chart of my emotional world, basketball is a somewhat small slice, definitely larger than it should be if I were a more mentally well person. But even within the small slice, like just a lot of emotions, but they're not all bad. So like, am I okay? Yes and no. The yes is, okay, one of my voicemails was about just serious optimism around next year's team, and namely Joel, just kind of like waxing real sentimental and sappy about his journey. For the first time, he helped us get a star free agent. One more thing. I know this is so batshit to call a third time, but clearly I've had a lot on my chest that I need to get out. The last thing, the main reason, Spike, I will never pull out is that Team Tucker forever. This will always link us inextricably to one another. And I just listened to his little interview on the other podcast. So funny, the shoe bug raid collaboration. But leaving that aside, you should just cut this part out. PJ Tucker needs to be our Udonis Haslem. He obviously did not leave the same indelible mark in terms of time, but it's just so clear that he needs to be with us, pulling up a chair and like shoving Nick Nurse out of the way and just kind of like putting that boat in all of us.
Okay, actual last thing. Mike's question, do I hate the pod? Need to address that. No, but I did have a very hard time this past season with the movement around, like, this is the year. I know we enjoy kind of like catapulting ourselves between extreme optimism and extreme pessimism, but it felt like a little bit of a leading into the spectacle, or like almost kind of some boosterism. And I was missing that just like gut-wrenching authenticity that I rely on you all for. And I just, we all knew it wasn't the year. I mean, Joel was gone. He was gone for so long. And it was so sad. It was so sad after the 70-point performance. Everything was so sad. So yeah, looking back, I don't know. What do you think about that whole movement? You guys spun up T-shirts and everything. Curious.
It's Becky's own John Favreau and Swingers moment.
Holding us to account.
I do agree with her. The PJ Tucker interview on Draft Council was hilarious as he was promoting. Did you listen to it? He had a partnership with Raid. So
Raid the bug thing?
Yeah. So PJ Tucker's a shoe guy, obviously. I bought a pair of his game-worn shoes at a Sixers charities auction.
Bought a pair of game-worn shoes for PJ Tucker. Didn't buy a ring from LL Pavorsky. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, PJ Tucker's always been there for me. LL wasn't there when I got married.
Get his ass, LL.
So
attack.
The thing with the Raid thing is, I think it's Raid, is the whole thing is like, oh, you crush a bug with your new sneakers and then you got the bug on it or whatever. Boy, doesn't that suck. So you can use their app or something and scan the QR code.
Kind of a bank shot.
Show a picture. I give credit to whoever in PJ Tucker's camp got him this Raid endorsement. I'm sure he was like, "What?" He was actually delightful on it. It made me want to have him on there. He actually sounded like he was having a really good time. He was enjoying doing it. So, any other thoughts on Becky's call?
Yeah, I mean, holding us to account for the year. You and I got an argument where you were like, "I never thought it was the year," which I also thought was.
Not true. You're mischaracterizing.
All right, you say what it was.
Okay, so what I said, and I said this in December, was, and I even wrote it on the website, is that when I say it was the year, I don't necessarily expect them to win the championship. In fact, I expect them not to win the championship. I did not believe, I believed that we could put our faith in them, as I did not think they would embarrass us at the end. And I don't think they did, to be quite honest with you. I thought that they were not embarrassing. They lost in the first round, but they weren't embarrassing like they had been prior.
I feel like that's a goalpost move.
But it wasn't. I moved the goalpost as I said it.
No, I think it's bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
I think it is. I am very susceptible to criticism for being wrong about it, but I was hoping that because they were so good, we forget Joel was having the best season of his career before he got hurt. And Maxey was continuing to take a step forward. Oubre was playing well. They got Nick Batum, who fit incredibly well. Kyle Lowry signed here on a buyout market. There were a lot of really good players. Covington was here at the time and then was hurt. You know, Melton, obviously those Melton and Covington injuries hurt them a lot. It was, Buddy Hield was a trade. It was like, maybe this guy becomes like a nuclear shooting acquisition when him and Joel worked together. Like it was not to me, and part of it was just like hoping that Joel would come back healthy. But it was not to me obvious that they couldn't do it. It was just like either Joel's going to be healthy and look as good as he's going to look. They're going to hit enough shots. They're going to play enough defense. It's definitely one of the most well-balanced teams they've had in this era, even if they were a little bit lacking in high-level star power. And at a certain point, like if Joel is one of the top 5 players in the league, like a top 5 player in the league takes his team on a superhuman run in the playoffs. Obviously, Joel was injured and not at his best, but we continue to wait for the year that Joel finally does that and proves that he is as good as he is in the regular season. I was not trying to sell t-shirts. I'm never trying to sell t-shirts. These fuckers fool me into it.
Time out. Hold on. First of all, Becky, settled down. We're not the reason that they lost. You can choose to believe whether the Sixers are going to win the title or not win the title on your own.
I don't think that she was saying that we were the
no.
reason
But like the whole
she felt it was inauthentic.
Yeah, but it everything we do is a mixture of authentic and like everything is sort of is authentic in that nobody's lying, but also everything is a hat on a hat with the podcast. The Al Horford t-shirt is a hat on a hat. The Embiid t-shirt was great. The bottles were great, and it was fun. And would you rather go into a playoffs thinking, well, we're just going to fucking lose again, which is the way I've done it before, and they've lost again, and nobody seems happy with that. And it was a time where the vibes were good. Everybody was having a good time. So let's fucking go. That's what I thought. Did I think they were going to win the title? No. But even before, again, this is before Embiid got hurt. Quote, will they win the title? I don't know. Probably not. But I do know in my heart they will not let us down like they did before. They will run through the finish line. They will do us proud. They have learned, like we have learned, they're different and they deserve our faith and belief. That's it. That's it. Relax. With the you're trying to sell t-shirts. Come on. Stop it. Trying to get us to listen to the podcast. I think it's silly. It's a silly criticism. Yeah, I'm actually insulted at it.
Interesting.
Would I make a t-shirt? Would we make a t-shirt? First of all, and you should know, Becky, that the money we make from t-shirts is so generally insignificant in the grand total of all of it. Even though a t-shirt is $30 or whatever, I can trust me when I tell you, after you buy the t-shirts and pay the artist and pay the fucking people sending out the t-shirts, we don't make very much money on the t-shirts at all. If any of this was about money, we'd be doing it very differently. By the way, the Rights to Ricky Sanchez is presented by... Just kidding. That's a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm an idiot. So I always feel the most about this team. When I feel good about this team, I feel better than you. When I feel bad about this team, I would say, significantly worse than you.
Worse than everybody.
So that's right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that... I hear the criticism, and I understand feeling, especially in the wake of what happened first round exit, going like, a little bit let down by the team, and also wanting to blame someone, and the podcast being an easy like, well, you guys fucking sold the t-shirt. I was annoyed, yeah, for sure. So I get it, but I would say, t-shirt. Speaking only for myself, I thought that it was a if Joel came back healthy, they had as good a shot as any. I thought that the East, obviously Boston very good, but I thought the East outside of them was really wide open.
So wait a
minute.
If Joel came back healthy, he hadn't played in 2.5 months.
Yeah, but he looked good in those like what 5 games that he came back.
He hurt his knee in one of them.
In the last 5?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I have a bad memory for that kind of thing. It doesn't matter. I don't need to remember, because if I just go through it, they all ended up in the same place.
Yeah, they all sucked anyway. They're never winning the title. Come on, what are we doing here?
That you can't think that.
I don't.
I'll get into an argument with you right now. If you don't think that they're ever winning a title, we should stop the podcast forever.
I have no idea if they're going to win the title.
Well, obviously you don't know. I'm not saying you're withholding a secret that you know. What
do you think? This isn't sports radio, Mike. I don't know what's going to happen.
What is the voice doing?
What's that?
Who is the voice of?
Because I have no fucking idea.
You did that voice for Becky and me, and our voices are very different.
Well, because you're being stupid. Like
I'm saying, you should think that the Sixers, this iteration of Sixers basketball with Joel Embiid, who you ride for all the time, is capable of being one of the best players in the league. And if he's one of the best players in the league, then he has a shot at winning a championship. That's all.
I didn't say they don't have a shot. I said
I don't think they're ever going to win one, which sounded like you were making an opinion rather than I don't know. I don't know anything.
Odds are they're not going to win one. Odds are nobody, like the odds of anybody winning a title are more no than yes. I mean, if you talk true odds of them ever winning,
I know.
A
and
title
there's like 8
with
teams
Embiid.
that have a shot, and the plurality is not 50%.
They have
of
like
course.
a
That's
1 in 10 chance of winning a championship.
I think it's more than that.
It's not.
I think it's more than that.
It's definitely not.
Over the rest of Joel's career?
Which is with 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, you think it's 10%?
If they're lucky.
I think it's more than that. With Paul George signing here, with Maxey continuing to get better.
Oh, right. Paul George, all of the championships he has. I mean, what are we doing?
I'm not saying he's going to win it by himself.
Yes, but what do you think the chances
Nobody wins a championship until they win a championship. And so I think it's easy to just say, like, they're not going to do it. They never have
Well,
done
it's
it.
also easy to do what you did and said they have a 50% chance of winning a championship, which you did once where you said Joel and Ben had a 50% chance of winning a championship.
That was funny.
Okay. Jeez.
Look, that's why we have to be different. To me, that's why I don't take the responsibility. I absolve myself of the idea that I led anyone astray by thinking the Sixers. If you listen to this podcast long enough, you know that I'm a true believer. I'm an idiot. So like I'm not cynical about that part of it.
What I would say is I'm never being disingenuous as to what I think. Sometimes if I have learned a couple of things. First of all, when I'm negative about something, when I don't believe something is going to happen, truly, when I think somebody's bad and I am very honest about it, people don't like it. People don't like when you're super negative about, even if you're right about something that is not good. So like those voicemails and those emails about like, I stopped listening to the podcast because you didn't think Ben was good. Like that, I felt that stuff years ago, you know? So I am less negative than I was before because I feel like it's a bum out. And when I feel positive, I ride it more than I did before rather than hedging all the time. But if you're asking realistically, are they going to win a championship? I can't back myself off of thinking, well, sure, do they have a chance? Yeah, they do, but like I don't think it's like we're on the precipice of a championship all the time. I don't know. We'll see middle of the year how they look and see if they have a chance. But like our guy's never been healthy in the playoffs, and they've never beaten a good team in the playoffs, and they're gonna have to beat at least one to win a championship. Some would say even two,
at least one,
which would be two more than they've ever beaten.
They gotta do it this year.
Two quick voice.
Daryl, if you're listening to the end of this podcast and you don't fucking do it, I'm coming over there.
Here we go. Last one because you're tired and I don't look at the camera while I'm playing this. 833 lick face.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, CJ, Daryl, Norman, the Danny, whole crew. Got a very important non-basketball take, not necessarily question. It's regarding Mike's hatred of a undisclosed comedy show. And I believe, it's a very hot take, is that show How I Met Your Mother? Because Mike has stated that this is something that would impact his career if he were to state it on a podcast. He obviously worked on How I Met Your Mother. So maybe at the end of the day, that's the plot twist. Mike actually doesn't like the show How I Met Your Mother, which he directly worked on. I know we can't respond to that, so just curious to what the reaction will be. I think that's.
I'm ordering you not to respond to that.
It's a show. I love that show. Come on,
okay.
I worked on it. I have a ton of friends from it. That's holds an incredibly important place in my heart. That's not a show I've worked on.
You are setting.
It's multiple shows that I haven't worked on.
Okay. And actually, last one, this one, because I promised. 833 lick face.
Hey, Spike and Mike, it's Uncle Mitch. I'm driving down ashore here with my fiance and 7-week-old, and listen to the Phillies, and out of nowhere, Scott Fransky says he lent Charlie Morton a CD in 2016, and it was an Amos Lee CD. So I don't know, Spike, is Scott Fransky going to make his way onto the Carl Landry Record Club? You tell me. Thought that was interesting. Love the show.
I would love to have Fransky on the podcast.
Fransky is a music guy, and he is an Amos Lee guy. I think they are buddies, Fransky and Amos. I don't know the extent of which, but
I think I would be nervous to talk to Fransky.
Really?
I've been listening to Fransky for forever. I think he's great.
Pretty laid back guy.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And after those like big, any big home runs, I've come to really like T-Mac. I obviously love Kruk, and I want to hear how Fransky did it on the radio.
We have.
I like the radio guys. I like LA. I like the.
We have LA. We have LA on the show every week. And
Stalker, right?
Stalker. I actually, I
like
really
Stalker.
like Stalker.
He seems like a really sweet guy.
So there are. There couldn't be two more different color guys than LA and Stalker.
Yes.
And we have LA on the show every week, and I love it. Like, if the Phillies are bad, LA is prime when we have them on. But Stalker, this is what I'll say about Stalker, that because this year is the first year I really, really listened to him. Every time I listen to Stalker, I learn something.
Yeah.
I learned something about baseball. He's really informative. Now, absolutely. LA is more, not that I don't learn from LA, but that isn't like the prime thing.
You're not learning anything from LA after however many decades he's been on the radio. Come on. You're experiencing it.
Learning how much he hates the umpires.
Which is great.
Pretty much it. Yeah, yeah. But they're both great. So maybe after the season, I'll ask Fransky. I'm sure
that'd be
he would
fun.
do it. Yeah. All right. That's it. We'll talk to you next time. Look, somebody said in the chat, we got a long weekly Becky email, we get our voicemail, we got a Mike rant against the owners, we got a Spike and Mike argument, which you haven't had in years. Amos will be thrilled. Loves the arguments. So there you go.
Still August.
Yep. August until it's not August anymore. We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, like face.